It was a guy talking about how one of his female clients got murdered. John just replies, "Oh my God, that's so horrible. Was it a angry ex?" And he said, yes. The guy came in and killed her while she was sleeping and killed her new boyfriend. That man not only took her life, but the person that she was with. As a man too, does that not also make you feel like now men get a little taste of it, right? That's the only time they can experience what women experience all the time with men. Women have to constantly be afraid that they're going to get murdered, even at the phone number part.
Beyond the perfect we discover, through our flaws we complete each other. Better than perfect we stay, through every fault we find our way.
All right, welcome back to the Better Than Perfect podcast, where every week we share with you how two imperfect people helping each other grow equals one better than perfect relationship.
There you go.
All right, and we're back again.
Jinx. But yeah, I guess we don't have, besides that, we sat here for God knows how long talking about the one we just were talking about.
Because we're still trying to figure it out. Like the last episode was a little bit scattered, but because it is hard. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to really figure this out and not say it like an idiot, like I'm saying it. Because I'm trying, like it's like raw.
An idiot.
It's raw. It's brutish. It's brutish.
Masculine.
It's brutish. Is what I'm saying.
And you're trying to tell women what to do though in a masculine way, so that's why it's confusing.
Yeah, it's because I'm still baking it. I'm still trying to figure out what does it actually come down to.
We'll have to come with fully baked ideas next time.
Yeah, but maybe we can get some help from the audience too. Maybe they can give ideas of what is it.
Well, like you said, I think it's hard because a lot of people are 50-50. And so it's not probably going to be a lot of people in a situation like us. And
it's two questions. It's if you're a man that's a sole provider, what should your wife be doing with her time? If you're not, if you're in a 50-50 relationship, if you were to or that's a good question, is if you were going to become the sole provider, what expectations would you have of your partner? Right?
Okay, I think that can be slightly dangerous.
Yeah.
Especially men who are like fantasizing about it and it's not realistic.
Well, for women too.
Because it sounds like they'll probably just want their wives to stay home and just turn into sexual beings, and that's all that they would need to do.
Okay, I don't think that's I think
a lot of guys would say that's
what they would want.
Yeah, just have
that
her available at all times.
Yeah, that might be fun for a little while, but it's going to go old real quick. Well,
I think you have to actually say that because, like I said, having guys fantasize about something, there are going to be people in the comments that are just talking about that.
But the question is for men and women too, right? Because the question is for women is like, if a man was going to take over the finances and work and relieve you from your job, you don't have to work anymore. What would you do for that? Like, what would it be worth to you? Like, or what would you then think that would be the appropriate thing to do? Because that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of is like,
I get what you're saying, but I also think that people who aren't in it can't fully understand because there is something about, because plenty of women would be like, oh, I'll do all the housework stuff or whatever because they just don't want to work, and that's true.
Right.
But they'll eventually not work for long enough where it's not like gonna just be the exact same over and over.
Yeah, it's more like if you marry a wealthy man and he works and he has maid service and a cook and all the things, so there's no domestic work, then what do you do?
Well, I'm sure they'd say go to the gym so that they look nice and then do the things that we've already discussed men would say.
But that's the real thing we're trying to get to is like, what is the actual, because we talked about the roles.
But I don't think that any of them would say that they would read books and things like that. I really don't think that they would say that.
Yeah, I don't think so. But it's like, what does the supporting look like? It's the hard thing to answer.
And what we talked about not on camera was that, like, in our own situation, it seemed like you need me to need you more.
Yeah.
And you have said that before, and that's what I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
Is like asking for help or
Yeah.
being needy, because as women, that's just something that we have a hard time with a lot of the time is, asking for help and appearing needy, like I talked about in the last episode. But it seemed like that is more so what you needed. I'm not saying it's the only thing, but it's probably the thing that you've been missing compared to the other things that you were talking about.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's true. But
because like the ending of the last episode, you just blew my mind being like, ask for a hug instead of give a hug. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like I would have never came to that on my own thinking.
Yeah.
Like even though you told me to think the opposite.
Right. Yeah. That
my mind would have never been like, ask for a hug instead of just giving a hug.
Yeah.
But so that's why too, in our whole conversation, like actually talking about what the problem is or what the fear really is, or, like even a guy being like, I'm afraid I'm going to be pulling the weight in the entire relationship or putting in more in the relationship than you are.
Right.
Like that's the fear. That's the real thing.
Right.
And people hide the fear in a lot of ways, like we talked about, by being defensive and being like, I do this, this, and this.
Right.
Because the fear behind that is really, I'm doing all these things and I feel like you're not doing enough, and I'm afraid that I'm going to be the one pulling this relationship forward for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Which boils down to not feeling appreciated, because that's what women would say.
Right, but that's the
fear.
fear.
Yeah, exactly. That's the fear.
But
yeah, exactly.
when you talk about it as a fear, it also triggers the part in a woman that is emotional and nurturing and caring to dive into that more. Yeah. And that's where you were getting it wrong too, with the whole like, well, you have 8 hours a day. What are you doing? Because that's very like you on a coaching call.
I'm just trying to logically like lay it out so that it's understood as an argument. It's like, because at a very logical level, this is not the way to talk about it. If a man is working 8 hours a day and a woman is not, then she should be doing some, like if she didn't have to, she would normally have to work those 8 hours. So she's given 8 hours. So some of that time should be going back to him in some way.
But the thing is, women also don't look like, and especially too, like if you are a man who's like, I'm going to provide, why are you even looking at it as, well, you would be at work for 8 hours anyway? Like telling that to a woman would be like, I'd rather just go work 8 hours than if you're expecting me to work while not working. Does that make sense? Like I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the fact that you're presenting it that way just makes a woman automatically want to go to, well, I'd rather just go to work because I don't even know what he's talking about.
Right. Yeah. I'm not trying to present it that way. I'm just trying to say like there's a logical.
And you also can't marry a woman and be like, I want you to stay home and take care of the house and take care of the kids, and then be like, oh, but you would have been at work for 8 hours. So what are you doing with your 8 hours? You know what I mean? Like that's not a stay at home mom. Like that's a stay that's like a stay at home, but work in a different way. Like, and I get what you're trying to say. I'm not saying she shouldn't care about supporting her husband.
Investing in the relationship in that time, however that looks. I guess maybe that's the thing that we've been missing, is using those words, because that's what the truth is. Right. Like she should be investing in the relationship, however that looks. Right. That might look like cleaning up the house if you don't have enough income to pay for a maid. It might look like taking care of the kids.
Even if you have a maid, it still has to be clean. Like laundry still has to be done.
But like, it might look like different varying degrees of that. But it's like, what is the thing that needs to be,
But if you're talking to women, you do have to say it in the right way, because
I know.
You're talking like you're talking to men.
I know, because I'm just trying to logically lay out the framework, because it's I still don't have it quite. I mean, we're getting closer to it, but I understand, but you also have to understand that you have to do it in the right way for the right audience. Yeah, because we're not the same. No. And the thing that you want is more softness, more feminine qualities. So you will not get that by being like, did you clock in your 8 hours today? What were you doing? I saw you on the couch doing TikTok. You should have been reading a book on how to support me. Like, I get the idea behind it, but that is not going to garner feminine energy that you actually want. Right. You know what I mean? Right. But by being vulnerable and speaking about like the actual fear you have, like I'm afraid, because I feel like I've been putting in a lot to our relationship and investing a lot in our relationship. Yeah.
and it doesn't feel very equal. And I'm afraid that that is how it's always going to be, or it's going to get worse.
Right. Yeah.
Then, I'm saying some women might still be defensive, but a woman is more likely to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't want you to think that I'm not invested in this. I'll definitely work on that. Like, how can I support you? Or there's certain things that you're missing or things like that. You know what I mean? It's easier. That helps guide the emotional to a beneficial place.
And you know where this is coming from real quick before we because I've been in this situation in the past.
Right.
Right. Where I'm like, not only are you not supporting me, you're actively sabotaging me. So why the fuck am I working for like 10, 12 hours a day and you're watching TV or whatever the hell you're doing and then making my job harder and giving me all kinds of shit instead of actually supporting me, right? Like creating more problems for me to deal with on top of it. So I'm like, look, if I'm working 10, 12 hours and then you should be like spending that time trying to support me, trying to figure out how you can make my life easier, not harder, not just thinking it's free. Like, I don't care if you watch some TV or whatever, have some time, relax, go to the spa, whatever you want to do, but just make sure that you're at least putting in the investment to make me feel like I'm appreciated and admired and taking pressure and stress off of me that can be relieved so that I can function better to make everything better for everyone. That's right. That's where it comes from. It's
and
like
if you had just said that, no, but I'm saying
but you know what I'm saying? But does that make more sense now? Like putting it that way?
It always made sense in that way. And I hear what you're saying.
Right.
And I think it is important to acknowledge that there probably was some of that past in this whole conversation.
Yeah, because I've been in that situation for a long time, right?
Right, so, exactly. Yeah. But like, I think it's important to acknowledge that also, that fear of what you've already experienced might have exasperated this. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying there aren't things that I need to work on.
No.
But at the same time, sometimes these experiences from our past pour over into our future, and our brain thinks you're in the same situation, but you're not.
No, and no, it's not to equate it. Like I said, you're wonderful. You do tons of stuff for me. Like, I appreciate you 100%.
But I get exactly what you're saying. Your situation too, I feel like, was very extreme though too. And that's why earlier when we did the other episode, I was like, I'm doing way more than most women are doing. And I'm still confused. So I'm genuinely trying to figure it out. But your instance was like almost the exact opposite. Like there wasn't, and that's also why you wanted it so bad, right? Is like they weren't putting in any sort of thoughtfulness.
It's just that I guess as a man, you want the woman you're with, right? And that's why I was saying from before, to be thinking in her head while you're working at work or whatever, if you're going to the office, while she's sitting at home, isn't this nice? I don't have to go into the office. My husband's so great. What could I do for him today to show him that I'm so appreciative that I don't have to work and that I can just, be myself? Like, maybe I'll put on some sexy lingerie, or maybe I'll write him a nice little note, or maybe I'll make him his favorite dinner, or, you know what I mean? Because it's like, that's what you as a man is hoping that your wife is thinking, right? That's appreciative, right? That she's spending, like you're spending time, like when you're in the office and you're working, you're thinking, I'm doing this for my wife, for my family. And you're hoping that she's at home thinking, what can I do for him? You know what I mean? And if you feel like a man that's not the case, that's when you feel like there's something wrong, especially if it's, like I said, actively sabotaging it, which,
But I'm telling you right now, women are doing that more than you think they are. They just might not show it every single day. But I mean, if a woman's staying at home, she does understand the like greatness of being able to do that. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't show her husband more.
Right.
Or there couldn't be things to be improved upon. But women in those situations, I feel like for the most part, do appreciate it. And there are some that take advantage of it. But I think that those people got married for the wrong reason
but it's
anyway.
easy to take advantage of it without even seeing it. Because it's when you go to work and you clock in, it's easy to say, oh, I'm here to work. Like I'm supposed to be spending my hours working, right? When you're at home, you might it's not easy to it's not automatically built into that mindset to think, oh, how can I do some stuff for my husband because I'm
but viewing it as work, I feel like is damaging.
Well, yeah, of course. It's not
and
work.
that's why the way that you're describing it, it would make a woman view it as work.
Yeah.
Because you're describing it as work.
Right.
Whereas more it should be described as out of love and lifting up your husband.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's why the terminology does matter. Like people try to act like the words don't matter. They do actually matter because they watch our TikTok clips and they take them out of context all the time because it's just a clip.
Right.
Words do matter.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you're always going to be perfect and say the right thing, but they do matter. Because the way you described it before with it being I have 8 hours at work. What are you doing with your 8 hours?
Right.
That does make a woman feel like it's work. And love shouldn't feel like work. Emotional support and caring and those sort of things shouldn't feel like work.
Right.
As a feminine woman, it has to come from a place of the softness, the vulnerability, the femininity.
But there has to be a self-accountability is what I'm saying.
Right.
Is for a woman just to acknowledge to be
normal.
look, I'm not working, he's working. I have free time, but I should be spending this time in a way that is accountable, that is also investing in the relationship just as much as he is by working and doing the other things that he does.
Right.
That's
I'm
all
not
that it
saying
comes down
that
to.
it shouldn't be thought about, but I'm saying it shouldn't be positioned in a way of work.
I'm just using the crude words of a brutish man. That's all.
Yeah, but you can't say that to women, though.
No,
and that's
not to
who
the
you
women.
want to get.
It's just to logically, because I can't work it out unless I put it into the logical framework as a man to be this is the raw, brutish.
I get it, but if you don't actually explain
that's why it's not baked yet. We got to bake it.
If you don't explain it a way that a woman understand, you're just confusing her more, and she doesn't understand. And then that's already happened.
But once we have it fully baked, then we'll do that. Because we're baking it little by little as we're talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's got to be fully baked, it's got to get. A lot of the other ideas we have are fully baked, right? So
not all of them. Let's see if today's is fully baked.
Okay. When is today?
John, I guess we'll have to come up with a title. So I'm just going to dive in. I'm not going to give a title because we can just figure it out. But John sent me a text message the other day from a guy in your coaching or your, what is it? Your community?
Yeah.
And it was a guy talking about how one of his female clients got murdered. Yeah. And John just replies, oh my God, that's so horrible. Was it a angry ex? And he said, yes. The guy came in and killed her while she was sleeping and killed her new boyfriend.
Yeah.
And when he sent me that, and the fact that John even knew that that's what it was, I was like, I kind of want to do a whole episode on the reality of women being afraid of men. And it's not just when you're dating and you don't know a guy and you have to be extra cautious. I've already talked about that.
Right.
It's when you've dated them and if you broke up with them and what they're going to do.
Right.
And you really never know as a woman. I'm not saying that men never get murdered by women that are upset with them, but it is majority men murdering women that they're upset with. And it really does make dating and relationships difficult for women. It's different if you're with somebody like you where I'm like, okay, John would never murder me. But sometimes you don't fully know and you're putting yourself out there, or you have to be afraid of how to communicate with a man because you don't know what he's capable of. Even our daughter, when we went on the cruise, she was like, I don't know what to say to this guy because what if he gets really upset with me? And, she didn't think he was going to murder her, but
he could throw her off the cruise ship.
She's already, isn't that what she said? I think that's what she said. But, she's already at 13.
I mean, that is still a real possibility at 13, right? Like that, actually, we're joking about it. But kids have been fallen off or been thrown off of cruise ships. And like, I know it seems really extreme, but you don't know. This is just some random kid. He's 13. He's bigger than her. He could throw off a cruise ship.
But men don't live their life worrying about this.
Right. Yeah.
Like they might somewhat. They may be like, oh, she's so crazy. She's going to, hurt me or something.
Yeah,
but
slash the tires. That's the
right.
classic,
It's normally women aren't typically murdering, but like I said, some do. But women genuinely, it never goes away because it's either at the beginning.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you don't get murdered.
Right.
While you're in the relationship, if he maybe becomes abusive or something.
Yeah. No, that's
when
true.
you break up, you have to worry.
And then, exactly. Yeah. And who knows how long after you break up.
Right. You don't even know. There might be some ex-boyfriend that I have that wants to murder me right now.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, he probably would have done it by now. But I'm just saying that I don't think men fully realize what dating and being in a relationship is like for a woman.
Yeah.
In this instance. Like, there was even some guy here in San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
Who,
the TikTok guy
the TikTok guy.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Walked into his
exes.
their apartment together. Yeah. They have a kid.
Yeah.
And he shot both her and the guy that was there.
Yeah.
After they had already broken up.
Yeah. Why do you think men do that?
I think because they don't want her to be with anybody else. I think it's typically men who got heartbroken and wanted to still be with that person, even if they mistreated that person. They don't want her to be with anybody else. And they are willing to throw their life away, probably because they're like, well, she's the love of my life. If she doesn't want to be with me, she'll be with nobody. And then he's like, I have nothing to live for anyway if I murder this woman, so I'll just go to jail. That's what I would think.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think that it's like it's a twisted version of what we're talking about in the last episode of like a man just like his whole, when he is married, when he's in a like committed relationship with a woman, his whole identity and purpose and value comes from making that woman happy. Right? That's what, and so when a man feels like he can no longer do that and he hasn't shifted his purpose and it still is that, then his solution is to kill her, I guess. I mean, like, and to kill the guy that she's with, right? Because that's, because he can't succeed at his mission. You know what I mean? So it's like.
But there's also another layer.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to talk about that guy that like killed his whole family so he could be with his mistress. I forget what his name was. That bald guy who they found the kids.
Bald guy? Are you talking about Peterson?
Bald.
Are you talking about Peterson?
He was bald, I believe, and he killed his pregnant wife and his two kids. They found, I think, the kids' bodies. This is
a more recent one. Yeah,
in some like silo thing with the liquid.
Yeah.
Could kill his entire family just to live another life.
Yeah. I think that's a different motive in that case, because that's not really like the...
But is it the motive to love some other woman and to not be in trouble? I'm saying that this is like another layer to it. This is a different layer.
A lot of guys don't... Well, I mean, the layer, the joining...
Is murder.
No, it's not murder. That's...
They're murderers.
Blue's Clues. Like, what do these stories have in common? Murder. That's it. Yes.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, it is true.
But the underlying thing is lack of emotional control that men display. And that's why that's such a unattractive trait in men. If you see a man that has a lack of emotional control, women are hardwired to not be attracted to that guy.
But now they're good at hiding it. And they're just actually a lot of times the like really quiet ones.
Yeah.
How many times has a guy murdered anybody?
Yeah.
And it's always been the quiet ones.
Oh, that's why women value honesty so much. Right?
Tell me you're going to murder me or not.
No, yeah. I mean, okay. Which is more dangerous? The guy that he's pissed off, but he's being polite and pretending like he's not pissed off?
Right.
Or the guy that says, I'm pissed off?
Right. The guy that's trying to hide it.
Right.
Is more dangerous.
No, hold on. Which one did you say?
I think the guy that's trying to hide it's more dangerous.
The guy who's trying to hide it. I thought you said that was not trying to hide it.
No.
Yeah, the guy that's trying to hide it, right? So now, obviously,
I mean, they're both red flags.
Right. It's both red flags. I mean, depending on the situation, right? It shouldn't be everyone gets angry, unfortunately. But
Oh, do they?
well, except for me. Not me. Hardly ever. I've been angry once. No. No. I don't get angry very often because I've learned to
right. But what you're saying is the honesty is you at least know he's telling the truth. He's not harboring anything typically that the other person would be shoving down and then later taking out.
Exactly. Yeah.
On a more extreme level.
Genuine. But it is a crazy thing. But you're right, though. I mean, that women do have to be careful. Well, it's funny because I did a video too where I was talking about how, like, why do guys will always ask, why do women give me their phone number and then when I text them, they don't respond? And the answer usually is because she's afraid to not give you her phone number. You go up to a girl on the street and you're like, hey, what's your number? You're cute, whatever. She might not like you at all, but she gives you the phone number and she gives you a real phone number because some women have given guys fake numbers and the guy types it in and texts them right there and then gets pissed off because he's like, why'd you give me a fake number? What is this? Right? And so a lot of times women are giving a guy a number and not responding because they just don't want to have a confrontation. You don't know what he's going to do.
Right. Exactly. You know why?
Yeah.
Because you're in person with him face to face.
Right.
If he wants to do something, he's right there.
Right.
At least if you give him your number and you ignore him later, you don't have to see him ever again.
Right. And guys get upset too when they say, oh, women are leading them on. They're like, I mean, this is why women put guys in the friend zone, I think, is because they're safe in the friend zone, right?
From being murdered?
Yeah. Think about it. Like, look, it's weird that women put guys in the friend zone, but they do it all the time, right? So the most common thing that a woman will say to a guy that she doesn't like is, I'm not really interested in you like that right now, or I'm not really interested in you like that, or you're not exactly my type, but let's just be friends. Or maybe
I don't think the friend
friends.
zone protects you from being murdered. I think a guy, if he's pissed enough, he'll still murder you.
Well, yeah, but
if he's in the friend zone.
If you put him in the friend zone, right, you've pacified him, right? Because if he agrees to be friends and you're still going to talk to him, right, then he's still holding on that there's hope. Now, again, I agree that there's still danger later down the road, but there's not immediate danger. Because if you flat out reject a guy and like, I don't like you, I'm not interested, he might get pissed off. Right, but if he's in the friend zone is safe. They're friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's safer, like you said, but I think that it could still result in murder.
It could still result in true crimes. Look, but it's less likely. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's a way of rejecting a guy without rejecting him.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, you're still great. You're still a great person. You're wonderful. What do women say all the time? Oh, you're such a nice guy. I'm sure some woman is gonna just gonna love you so much, or you're gonna make such a great boyfriend for it's just not me, but we could be
don't
friends.
Murder me,
right?
Okay?
But we'll be friends, right? Because women say it like that in order to tampen down the aggression, right? So that it's not an outright rejection where he's likely to, it's harder to react negatively to that, right?
Right.
Because if you say to, let's just, you're a great guy. I think we would be great friends. It's hard to say, fuck you, bitch. Like, it's like, I'm gonna kill you. Because she's saying you're a great guy. Let's just be friends. But if she says, oh yeah, I'm not interested.
Which that's still not even bad, but you're right.
Yeah,
they still
saying, then you get the reaction. So,
but I mean, theory. I guess what would you say about this topic? Like, is there a way? I guess you just said that women can friend zone guys and they'll be more safe, but how can we as women date without being so afraid of these things? And even the people we're actively dating, like having to be afraid of something happening or, things like that. How do women navigate this, do you think?
They navigate it by going after bad boys. I'll tell you why. because they're honest with who they are and what they're like. If you can handle him, he's not going to be any different than what he is. But a nice guy is dangerous. Right? Because that's why women are more attracted to bad guys as well, is because even guys that are actually like abusive, or right, because it's like it's a known quantity. It's not an unknown quantity. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's a healthy thing or that's a good thing, but I'm just saying that guys that have a tendency to be selfish, to say what they want, to not be filtered, those are safer guys because you know exactly what you're getting.
Well, I mean, I might be wrong, but I think the guy here in San Diego, the TikToker guy, was abusing her before.
Right.
So,
but that's yeah. I mean, obviously, like that indicates that has a propensity to violence, right? So that's not a good sign.
Right. So
but
it's
I'm just
like,
saying that.
But I don't want women to also hear this and be like, "Oh, I can avoid murders by dating assholes." Like,
yeah, that's not the idea. I'm saying that's
an honest person.
Yeah.
And someone who has boundaries,
right.
who can have hard conversations. Because like you said,
right.
they're not going to hold things in. They're not going to like harbor
right.
resentment because they're able to have uncomfortable conversations
right.
with you, which, you know, that's what nice guys should be learning how to do, is have boundaries and
right.
to be honest, so that they get out of being a nice guy and they become a kind guy. And women do need to stop dating assholes because they do, yes, they're honest, but they do tend to be more abusive.
Yeah.
And so, you know, maybe he won't murder you or, you know, as often as the nice guy will.
Yeah. Just one time.
You know, the asshole guy is still not the person to be going after as a woman either. And that's what women are really looking for. And nice guys, they're like, you women don't want me. It's like, if you just have boundaries and you're
right.
kind, but you have boundaries, now she feels like you're definitely not going to murder her because right. you can have tough conversations. You can confront
right.
those sort of things with honesty,
right.
but you're also kind. You care about people.
Exactly.
You care about her. People who care about people don't murder people, typically.
Yeah. So you have to look for, as a woman, men that have boundaries, that have healthy boundaries. Right. It's a good indicator. And I mean, and look for the red flags, which is anger management, mm-hmm. right?
But what about if they act not angry?
But that is that is not healthy boundaries.
Right.
Right. Because
well, like if they don't have boundaries.
Right. Because they could like it's fine to be not angry, right? Mm-hmm. It's like we talk about all the time about how we did that whole episode on being insecure or being secure, being mm-hmm. controlling or dominant, right? And it's like a insecure controlling man, right? That's the dangerous one because he's like, you can't go out to the club, mm-hmm. right? Whereas the secure dominant man is like, look, you can do what you want. However, I'm not going to be in a relationship with the woman that goes out to clubs.
But you have to mean that too.
Yeah,
you have to mean the boundaries.
Yeah. Exactly. Otherwise, it's not a boundary. But you know that he's going to carry through on that he's going to follow through, right? That's how you know that he has actual boundaries. Whereas the other guy's making threats, mm-hmm. right? So I think that's, how you can tell that to a degree, because
it's still hard to tell, but like you said, I think it is better if you're with somebody that's honest, and isn't already abusive, like is a kind person but has boundaries and is honest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why do you think? I mean, you agreed with what I said, but why do you think men are willing to like basically ruin their lives to do something like that?
Because they have made their entire life this way. Again, a lot of it too comes down to when I used to teach dating, pickup, whatever we'll call it, pickup. Just pickup. So let's be like honest. All right. When I used to teach guys how to pick up girls, okay, I used to always defend it because people are like, you're so sleazy. Why would you teach guys that? I'm like, look, these guys are not going to kill anybody. I literally used to say that because look, the guy that goes and kills some girl or his ex, he's the guy that is frustrated or shoots up a play. Like he's the guy that cannot get laid. All right. He's the guy that's put everything. He has one-itis. He's picked out this one girl, started stalking her, whatever it was, right? And then if she made the mistake of actually dating him, she's like, she's the one, the only one for me, and I have to have this girl. Like he puts his whole life into that. I mean, hell, guys do this. Some guys do this before they have even talk to the girl. I mean, online, like girls that they just see pictures of, they become dedicated to.
So they're just delulu.
Yeah, well, it's because there is some kind of instinct in a man that has not become a man, right? Mm-hmm. Which means that he hasn't learned his way around women, hasn't gained his own confidence, that he attaches so strongly. Because it is it's like a good thing that, we're married. I'm fiercely loyal to you. I'm fiercely loyal to you, right? Like I will kill anybody. Like I'll, whatever I need to do to protect you, right? Because that is that instinct. But it's
just don't kill me, okay?
But see that. But it's tempered by my experience and confidence, because I know that that even if you didn't like me for some reason, or you decide to divorce me or whatever, or that I'm not destroyed as a human being, that I still have value, right? Because I know my value as a man, right? I have proved my value as a man. So men that haven't gone through those stages, they're still in a very emotionally immature stage, and they attach with that same instinct to whatever their target is. Just like that, what is that series? Her or me? You. I know it was some pronoun, but the you, on Netflix. But it's like this obsession that they have. So that's why they're like
murdering people.
Yeah, if she can't be mine, then she can't be anybody. It's like
right.
Yeah,
but what about like the TikTok guy? Like, I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't still fall into that, but he was popular on TikTok. I'm sure he got attention.
Yeah. No. But you saw his comments, or I'm assuming it was him, maybe it was some joker, but you saw how he responded to people still trying to get attention. Still insecure. So insecure.
Didn't fulfill his needs, like getting the attention on TikTok. He had to still look for it.
Because no amount of attention someone gives you can make you secure.
Okay, well then how does sleeping with a woman give him the confidence to not murder people?
How does a guy that learns how to pick up women and whatnot?
Yeah.
Because it's not about sleeping with the women. It's about what he learns about himself in the process of doing that, of facing his fears and realizing he's okay. It's about the actual approach. Like a guy going on a dating app and matching on girls wouldn't have the same effect, right? It has the effect because he went and faced his fear, and he overcame it, and he knows that he can do that anytime. He can overcome his fear. He has value of
What about
himself.
the men who get stuck in that cycle, though? And they're still insecure.
Yeah, that's a problem. That you got to get off that trail.
Because then
you have to shift the validation from external to internal, because you can, external validation will never give you internal validation. So at some point you have to say, okay, look, I've done it. I proved myself. I got it. I'm good. Right?
So a man could have external validation, but if he doesn't have internal, he might murder you.
I guess so. Because look, most men go out, right, when they're trying to get laid, right, or whatever, like they're going through whatever phase, in order to prove something to someone or to themselves, or to see that they're valuable, right, or and so you can be constantly, nothing is enough, right? Where you're just constantly, you need that validation in order to still feel like it. And so if you're still stuck there, then you're going to feel like so you kind of trapped me, because I just realized that you're saying, well, if a guy is like, now it's like, yeah, so he can learn those skills.
I didn't mean to trap you.
And still murder. Yeah, so it's true. But if he learns the skills, I think, in the right way and understand, like I still think that it's, in that process that you're going to, you're going to become more confident. I think there are some guys that could still have extremely fragile egos and not have, feel like it's all luck, right?
I wasn't trying to trap you.
No, I know.
I'm just trying to also.
I just realized it myself.
Explain how women have to be, right? Like you don't ever feel 100% sure unless you're in a very like intimate and deeply connected relationship, like you and I are. Like. Right. You really just don't ever know.
Well, but that's why, to a degree, like game exists, is because women vet men very carefully. So when you're having a conversation with the guy, if he were to come up to you and start talking to you in a club, it's like you're kind of you're seeing how he handles himself socially. You're like, okay, he might be attractive, but like, how does he talk? Okay, has he had experience with women? Does he feel like he's insecure and he's, is hiding something? Does it feel like he needs validation, or that like if someone didn't like him, he would like, does he have that's why confidence is attractive. Because someone who's confident, right?
It's not psycho.
Someone
normally.
breaks up with them, they're not like, I need to kill them. Right. So it really comes down to the confidence. Because if you have confidence, you're not going, psycho.
Because you have confidence knowing that you can find somebody else,
Right.
or there's a better person out there for you.
Right.
In that instance.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, another part of this topic that really gets me thinking is that men are so afraid to date American women because they'll lose all their stuff or they'll get a divorce or whatever. And women literally have to worry about getting murdered, and they still go on dates.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
when men are like, I get being frustrated because everybody's entitled to be frustrated.
Right.
They're entitled to like voice their opinions on their own experiences. I get that. But as a woman, like we genuinely have to be afraid, like I said, at every step of every sort of relationship with a man.
I agree.
Am I going to get murdered?
Well,
and we still do it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. The murdered thing. Okay, it's more, you hear about more story, right? The actual chance of getting murdered by a man is extremely low. It's the actual chance of getting murdered, period, is extremely low, right? So it's definitely higher, right? Than getting murdered by a woman, right? But being assaulted, being raped, being, attacked, high for sure. That
And women still date.
Right. So that I would say. But I think if you say murder, then you lose a lot of ears because that's not an accurate.
Well, you lose your life if you get murdered.
Yeah,
So
I know. But
it's the ultimate price to pay. Like if you get divorced, you lose half your stuff, but you're still alive. What I'm trying to say is that if we pay the ultimate price, which their ultimate price is getting a divorce.
Yeah. But
we're no longer alive.
Well, but which is more, it's much more likely that you're going to get a divorce than you're going to get murdered by your spouse.
I mean, you're only likely to get a divorce if you quickly got into a relationship that you really had no business being in at all. Because most people can fix their relationship and it doesn't go straight to divorce, but it involves the man just as much as it involves the woman.
But more than half of marriages end in divorce, so... I mean, it's you're I agree
I understand,
with you. I agree
but
with
that's easily fixable.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
agree.
easily be able to fix somebody from murdering you.
Well,
they walk into your house with a gun. How are you going to fix
it's
that?
the same
Unless
thing
you
as,
got your
being,
gun.
Being careful of who you. But I see what you're saying is because if you're just dating someone, is that you don't have to make a commitment to someone for them. But
right, exactly.
But the percentage chance of being killed by a man increases with the with the relationship status, right?
Great.
You're going to be closer to him.
That's true. But some
a guy
also
that you just randomly
kill
date
people.
is not going to. It could happen, but he's just a killer. It's not he's a
scorned lover.
Exactly.
I mean, he could be a
the scorned lover situation is the.
But I mean, that's I guess the thing too is like men don't think about being murdered by other men because there's plenty of men who shoot up places.
It depends on where you're at, right? Like what your situation is and where you live. Like there are definitely places where, but in general,
I'm talking about like the kids that shoot up schools, which are typically white males, shoot up churches, typically white males,
right?
Like, or like a movie theater or all those things. Like those people are also just killing, they're men that are killing not just women at this point too, but anyone that's near there. Like, what are men doing to help other men not be murderers? I guess is what
they're rushing you out of the Chase building before someone comes and kills everyone.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying like,
no. What are men doing to stop other men? That's
how can we help these men that are
we
like
teach them to man the fuck up, right? To stop being boys and to be men, because every one of those cases, right, that you're talking about, those mass shootings, it's been an incel guy. It's been a guy that can't get laid. It's been a guy that's been bullied and picked on. It's been a guy that has a victim mindset and has not stepped up and learned how to be a man, right? Has not faced his fears, has not like done those things. He has not developed himself, right? So it's weird because those guys actually need like tough love, not like bullying, like that drives them, but like a guy being like, you know, you shut the fuck up and get, you know, like
that sounds a little bully.
That's not bullying. That's like, that's encouragement for a man, right? You know what I mean? It's like, shut the fuck up and do what you need to do. Like, stop being a pussy. Like, that's encouragement.
As a woman, I would think that he's going to come murder me because I said that.
No, I mean, if you tell that to a man.
I'm not saying I would say that as a woman.
I tell that to a man.
But I'm saying, even if I was a guy telling another guy that was fragile like that, I'd be afraid to be murdered.
Because there's a certain thing, like, it's how you're saying it. It's like, you know, that it's like saying you're tough enough to handle this, and I know it because I got you, like I see you, right? That's what it, like. There's a way to do it where it is just abusive and just picking on someone, right? You could say those same words, right? But it's like, you know,
well, maybe if you're like, come on, like you can do this, like don't be. I'm not going to say the word.
Like, don't be a pussy. Like, that's like, but you can't say it like that either. That's like that's not real. It's like you got to really.
That doesn't help to be like you can do it.
You got to be like really mean it. Like,
I mean, I'm not. I'm just saying the words. I'm not saying that I would talk like that, but personally,
yeah. I mean, every call when I have new people coming into the coaching, I'm like, there's on the weekly calls. This is what I tell them. I'm like, there's 3 reasons. You know, 3 things that you states you're in. Either you don't know what to do, you don't know how to do it, or you can't get yourself to do it. And I said, if you don't know what to do, I'll tell you what to do. If you don't know how to do it, I'll help you figure out how to do it. And if you can't get yourself to do it, I'll fucking kick your ass and make you do it. And they like that part because that's what they want. They want someone to kick their ass and make them do it. I was telling you about Rob that I was on the phone with, and he's like, I'll pay $10,000 to call me a pussy and to make me fucking work. I mean, he's reading a lot of David Goggins books right now, but it's a thing. It's true. But men need guidance by other men to become men so that they don't do these things. Because a man that has confidence, that knows who he is, has success with women, he doesn't go and do this stupid shit because he has more, he doesn't want to throw his life away.
The scary thing is, though, that like you can't force a man to do the things. You can't force a man to better himself. You can't force a man to become a man.
Right.
So like we just have to hope and pray that they take the initiative.
I mean, they watch my content or they like or whatever, you know, like some people come through whatever avenues.
Yeah. I mean, it's really sad that anybody would feel like they could take someone else's life just because they don't want to be with them or something like that. Yeah. And that man not only took her life, but the person that she was with.
Yeah. So
as a man too, does that not also make you feel like now men get a little taste of it, right?
Yeah.
That's just a little piece of it. Women have to constantly be afraid that they're going to get murdered, even at the phone number part. But men only get the part where, am I with a woman where her ex would murder me? That's the only time they can experience what women experience all the time with men.
Yeah.
And how does that seem?
That's why like a crazy ex is a red flag for men dating a woman is like.
A crazy ex guy is definitely a red flag.
Yeah, that's like a whoa. It's one of my coaching clients. He was just talking about this woman that's from Mexico or something, and her ex-boyfriend was a drug dealer or something, and he went to jail. And I was like, yeah, stay away from that shit. Like no, sir. I don't care how good she looks. She's off the table. Nope. Not goodbye.
Yeah, that is definitely rolling the dice.
Call me when you're in the witness protection program.
But yeah, I mean, like, see, they wouldn't deal with a woman like that. Women, if they had that mindset, though, they wouldn't go on dates. Like, or they'd
because
only
any
go
guy
on.
Could be. I mean,
right.
Like again, like I said, realistically,
or they wouldn't even talk to guys.
You're not going to get murdered. Right.
I understand, but you just told this guy.
Battered, like whatever, you know.
I understand, but you just told that guy not to even mess with this woman because her ex was a drug dealer and went to jail.
Right.
Nothing has even happened.
Right. Yeah. But that's different. That's like a.
But what I'm trying to say is women could easily like be like, no, we don't date men because they could all murder us. But we don't. And that's why when I see the divorce thing, like you even said, that's if you get married. That's if you get to the point where you got married is the only way you're going to get a divorce. Only way you're going to lose half your stuff. A woman could be dating a guy for 6 months and he could murder her. Like, again, it's not high probability.
Yeah.
But
she could, I see what you're saying. She could get into
she doesn't even have to be married to him.
He could be emotionally unstable and then like he can't handle the breakup and whatever. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then be like, if I can't be with you, then no one can.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, you should see the red flags before you get that. Like the longer you go into the relationship with someone like that, the higher the probability becomes. Then it actually becomes a real threat.
But you see the red flags and then you leave and then he murders you in your sleep with your boyfriend, your new boyfriend.
No, if you see the red flags, you should see them before you've gotten into like that deep.
What are the red flags?
The red flags, like I said, is like the insecurity.
Like lay them out again so women will know.
Insecurity is the biggest red flag.
Okay, that's the biggest one.
If a guy is insecure, right?
And then if he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
or abusive already.
Which is insecure, right? Like, yeah. So.
Insecure. So look for confidence. True confidence. Because sometimes people fake confidence.
Yeah, exactly. Fake confidence is the most insecure.
The most scary. The most murderous.
It's the most insecure. Like pretending to be, you know. But it's also easily detectable. The one thing you can't fake is confidence.
True.
So.
True confidence.
Yeah. But yeah, insecurity is the biggest red flag.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because, I mean, it is crazy to even know somebody that has a story like that. Granted, still like he knows a person and you know the person, like you know him.
But almost every woman has a sexual assault story. So that's
like
true.
Things like that still happen. And the whole reason I brought this up, like I said, is because men like shit on dating so hard because they're afraid of divorce, but they don't really realize the risks that women are taking dating men. Like maybe themselves aren't murderers, obviously, are going to do something horrible, like rape somebody or whatever. But can we even say that? Are we going to have to bleep that out?
Fine. No, we're not getting any views anyway. So
oh my God.
I thought about the same thing. I was like, I don't care.
But like I don't think they understand that until, like I said, they see a story and they're like, oh, he got murdered because he was with that girl. Yeah. You know, I think everybody needs to be more open. Oh my God.
Like, are there any open cases of like, are there some threats?
Now,
like,
maybe should have did that
threat
before.
list and be like, oh, okay.
You think I'm going to murder you?
No, not you. Someone that you dated. I should do a background check now and be like, all right, what's the, got to run some background checks on guys that you've dated. See if they got a criminal record or...
I'm not worried about any of them. That's also why I kept a box cutter in my purse every date I went on. Because I'm like, you trying to murder me? I'm going to go down trying to murder you at the same time. Like, I'm not going down without a fight. But, I'm still outside. So we got here. But, yeah, I mean, it just... Men talk a lot about their struggles, and I understand it. And they'll still probably be like you said, it doesn't happen that often, but it does happen.
Well, yeah,
a scary amount.
The threat of real violence or an aggressive response from a man is high, especially when you're in an isolated situation with him. Right. That is true. That is true. Right. Like it
could even be a random man going down the street. Like women can't go out and walk around at night like men can. Like. They have to be so much more aware of things. Like we can't even sit in our car without making sure that it's locked in a parking lot or seeing if there's a car next to us that has some random person sitting in next to it because they might try to take you. Granted, these things don't happen often,
but there's a scare.
They don't happen to men either. Men are never sitting in their car like, some girl might jump in and carjack me right now. Or... hey, I was getting into my car and there was a creepy guy in the car next to me. I think he's going to kidnap me. Like, they never think about those things. They don't even realize the freedom that they have in this way that, like, women don't we don't have that luxury.
I mean, there are a lot of psycho women, though. Every guy's dated a psycho.
They're not crazy women.
Has had a psycho ex
but
that has like done some stuff or showed up at his
men
door.
Aren't getting kidnapped. They're not getting.
Yeah, she's probably not going to kill you.
I'll say graped. They're not getting murdered as often, and so and we're still going on dates with men. Yeah. So men need to man up and get over their fear of divorce when women are out here potentially risking being murdered. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if I can equate the two of them, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get it is a real, I don't think the risk of divorce and murder are not the same, but I get what you're saying. But a woman is
divorce is way more preventable ahead of time.
Murder is also preventable.
Not really. If someone has a gun,
you don't get into a relationship with that person. Why do you let it get that far?
John, some people don't they're hiding it.
I know, but if you are properly vetting a person, there's someone who is...
No, they broke up.
Yeah.
This woman broke up with the guy because he's bad news. And then, so what are you supposed to do? You're like, if you're in a relationship and you know a person, break up with them because he might murder you. Then he murders you.
Before you get into the committed relationship, before you move in with them.
He might still be obsessed with you.
That's fine.
Even from the beginning and murder you.
No, that's unlikely.
I don't think so.
That's really unlikely that you just go on a date with a guy and he murders you because he's obsessed with you.
I'm sure I'm going to find an article.
I'm sure
and
that
I'm going to put it in
it's
the
still
caption on
the percentage
YouTube.
of women that are murdered by a romantic interest is
the thing is, I'm sure I could find one for all of these things.
Look,
just met a guy, murdered. I'm sure I could find one.
Sure.
In a relationship, murdered.
Right.
Broke up with him, murdered.
But if you combine all those together, right?
You got 3 murders.
And you take the risk, right? It's I'm sure it's far less. I'm sure you're far more likely to die on a flight on an airplane, but you get on airplanes every day.
I understand, but here's also the thing that I'm trying to say. I'd rather have $1 left to my name. $1.
Right. And not be murdered.
I'd rather have $1 freaking dollar. And these men
but there's a lot of guys
leaving with more than $1.
There's a lot of
and they're still crying. But I'm telling you, if I had $1 and I was still alive, I would kiss the ground.
But see, there's a lot of guys that are the opposite thinking.
They'd rather die.
That's why they kill. Because they'd rather die than not be with their true love.
Your true love would want to be with you if that was your true love.
Right. But
rejection needs to help these people. They need help. You can't just be murdering people. There's something going on.
There's a lot of crazy. I think there's more crazy ex-women stories than crazy ex-men stories. But women don't. Yeah, but women don't take it as far. They just slash your tires and show up.
I'd rather have
and
a flat tire
your date
than no more life. That's all I'm saying.
But if women were as big as men, they would kill men.
I don't think so.
If women had the testosterone of men,
I don't think women would give up their lives for some man to reject them.
You never had a psycho ex-girlfriend,
I dated someone that had a psycho ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, those women were
I called the police in front of her.
Yeah.
Or she was on the phone and me and my friend went to the police station because she was harassing me.
Right.
And he put her on speakerphone and she was like, how long would I have to go to jail if I kept harassing her? She stopped because she actually saw me out in person and she was like, hi. And I was like, hey. And then she was like a chihuahua. They bark a lot, like Toto, but they don't do anything. But that's the thing is a woman might say stuff or she might show up somewhere or she might try to act tough, but she ain't murdering you most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if she could, she would, but no. I don't know. Women think about it differently.
I'm thinking about it. If I was on a phone call with a man and he said that to a police officer, I'd change my name because I would think he was going to murder me. If a man told me what she said, how long would I have to go to jail if I kept harassing her? I'd be like, I'm moving states and I'm getting a new ID and I'm never like, I'm throwing my phone away. Like I would be afraid that that person's actually going to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So men are scary. The end. I just want men to realize they're still going to probably be in the comments being like, this doesn't happen, but it happens.
I mean, it does, but it's
you
unlikely,
even knew exactly what had happened.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true. I didn't know what exactly what happened, but because it's cliche at this point. Right.
And it happens. It doesn't matter if it's cliche. It's murder.
Yeah.
And I think that woman had a kid. Didn't he say she had a kid?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, even the man who left his own kid to now have no parents, the one who lived here, the TikTok guy.
Yeah.
That kid has no parents because you killed
both
the kid's mom.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to jail. Yeah. Like, you're not going to have that kid.
No.
And then that guy who killed the lady while she was sleeping and the guy, she had a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Men fiercely protect what is theirs.
But not children, obviously.
Well, part of it is like they'll kill their children too. Like a lot of times.
Yeah, that also is like terrifying.
Here's another scenario where it happens pretty commonly. Man loses his job. He goes home, kills his wife and kids. That happens. I mean, obviously not super frequently, but that's a common
right, because
thing.
If he's miserable, he has to kill everybody.
No, if he can't support them, if he can't take care of them, then
they should just die.
Off dead. Yeah, that's how.
Or ask her to get a job, and you guys can both have a job. I think a woman would prefer that than getting murdered.
I know, but,
and killing your kids.
Yeah, because he feels like a failure, so he feels like it's like, that's what goes on there. It happens. So.
That's even more scary. That if a man feels like he fails,
right,
he's going to kill everybody.
Yeah, because he feels like
his entire family.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just ended this by making women more afraid. Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying it happens, right?
I'm like, women put might get murdered and we still go out there. And then you're like, well, even if you have a family, he might kill you all if he gets fired.
But it doesn't happen to people who listen to this podcast and subscribe, especially people who put iTunes reviews, on our podcast. So.
Look, this is serious business.
I'm serious. And
I feel so bad for the families who have dealt with this because it's really not fair.
Right. But I am serious because if you learn relationship skills and you understand how to interact, then
I get it. But I think it does need to be acknowledged that even as a woman, you can understand and still come across the wrong guy and be in a scary situation.
Yeah.
Even if you're not murdered, there's still, like you said, plenty of women who have stories of men doing things to them that is very traumatizing and very bad.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you have to be careful. It's a fear that men don't have to have.
Right, at all. They're not worried about that.
Yeah, just, I mean, there's psycho women, but again, it's not as,
not as on the same level.
Yeah.
But don't worry, not every man will murder you or do bad things. And if you see one, just stare at him and eat a napkin.
And eat a napkin. Or poop your pants. Just poop your pants. That will get rid of.
Just look crazier than he is.
Yeah.
And carry a box cutter in your purse when you go on dates. But, just to be safe. Don't break it out for no reason.
Yeah, if you use a box cutter, you better...
Or mace.
You better use it for lethal purpose because you don't want to stick someone with a box cutter and piss them off. So that's the thing. Yeah, you want to make sure you do finish.
The box
if you start the job,
only
you got to
if
finish
someone
the job.
Attacks you.
Yeah, then you got to finish the job. You can't just piss them off more. You got to make sure you're ready to finish the job. You know,
or just get a taser or a mace. That's a little bit more acceptable.
Yeah,
but
not the
protect yourself. I'm not going to tell women not to protect themselves because it's not always you saw signs to see. You're right. The first and most important step is to have good relationship skills and notice red flags and notice concerning behavior. But crazy stuff still happens. So protect yourself.
Guys will be chameleons and they'll, you won't find out.
Right.
Until,
exactly. That's another scary part too. Is
you have some friends that then the guy
Right.
showed his
There's
psycho
one
in
guy
that.
who literally I would be like
Oh, yeah.
afraid that he
could
would
be,
murder.
Yeah, he could be a killer for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
so protect yourself. That's all I gotta say. Protect
Okay.
yourself, women. Do what you need to do. But men should empathize with women that this is something that
Yeah.
they don't have to deal with thinking about as often as women do.
I agree. Yeah.
And they still trying to go on a date with you, so they must like you enough to risk being murdered. That's all I gotta say.
Well, they go on dates with murderers too. So are they trying? To,
No,
like,
they don't. That's a whole nother thing. Like, that's for attention. That's for attention.
All right, I guess we should wrap it up here.
We don't have an end of the thing.
Yeah, we don't really have
because we already talked about it. But
yeah, we'll have to hash out our thing more. I think we got a better like it. It feels like it's more baked now. It's like it makes more sense. So,
moral of the story though for today: don't murder people.
yeah, don't murder people.
Get help if you need help. If you're feeling big emotions, get help.
But murder that like button.
Oh my God.
on this podcast and go to iTunes and leave us your
Thoughts.
review. I was gonna say death threat, but leave us your review.
Don't say that. We're gonna have to edit so much stuff out of this.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, we'll read it on air no matter what it says.
What are you trying to say? You're like calling the murderers to come comment. You're like, no matter what it says, you can tell us. Like, this is not supposed to be a call to get the murderers watching, John.
Okay,
It's
all right.
supposed to be.
Forget everything I said. Bye.